Okay, so you want to own a medieval blacksmith shop. And honestly, who would not? The forge glows orange in the darkness. A red-hot bar rests across the anvil, and every strike of your hammer sends a shower of sparks across the workshop. Outside, a horse waits for new shoes. A farmer stands beside it with a broken sickle. A cart driver is pointing angrily at a bent iron tire, while a mason wants 200 nails before sunset. The entire village seems to depend on you. Without the baker, people can eat yesterday's bread. Without the tailor, they can patch an old tunic. But when the plow breaks, the cart stops, the gate hinge snaps, or the only good axe loses its edge, work ends immediately. That makes a blacksmith shop look like the safest business in the medieval world. Everyone needs iron. Everything made from iron eventually breaks, and every broken object appears to lead directly to your door. Then you open the account book. The farmer needs you, but wants to pay after the harvest. The cart driver needs you, but insists the damage was easier to repair than it actually was. The Lord's steward needs you, but expects his horses and wagons to be handled first, whether he pays quickly or not. Meanwhile, the forge consumes charcoal, iron disappears into every order, the bellows wear out, tools crack, apprentices need to be fed, and one badly judged heat can turn valuable material into useless scale. Every spark looks like profit from the street. From behind the anvil, every spark is an expense that has not paid you yet. So let us build a medieval blacksmith shop from the ground up, buy the tools, secure the fuel, hire the labor, follow the money through every repair, and find out whether the owner becomes wealthy or merely spends his life keeping everyone else's business alive. Start with someone who understood what a serious metalworking shop required. Around the early 12th century, the craftsman known as Theophilus wrote a technical manual describing furnaces, charcoal fires, bellows, hammers, tongs, files, punches, and the careful handling of heated metal. Read that list like a business owner. Skill alone does not open a forge. Before the first customer arrives, you need a collection of expensive equipment, a reliable fuel supply, access to workable iron, and a building that can survive having a controlled fire burning inside it every day. You're not buying a heroic swordsmith's workshop from a legend. You're buying an ordinary village forge, the kind that keeps farms, carts, doors, mills, stables, and construction projects working. That distinction matters because a beautiful sword may earn admiration, but admiration is not a recurring revenue stream. A farmer returns every season. A horse returns whenever its shoes wear thin. A wagon returns after every rough road. A gate hinge, a chain, a lock, a knife, an axe, and a plow all return when metal meets friction, weather, weight, and careless human beings. The first thing you need is a location. Put the forge too far from the road, and nobody wants to drag a broken plow or damaged cart wheel across the countryside. Put it in the middle of a crowded wooden settlement, and one flying ember can convert your business into a village-wide disaster. The ideal site is near the entrance to town, beside a market road, stable, bridge, manor yard, or gate where farmers, merchants, horses, and wagons already pass. A good location gives you customers without advertising. It also gives the landlord, town authority, or local lord a reason to demand rent, fees, service obligations, or priority work. A cheap location saves money, but produces silence. An expensive location keeps the hammer moving, but part of every coin belongs to the ground beneath the shop. The building itself does not need marble or decoration. It needs a forge hearth, room for bellows, ventilation for smoke, dry storage for charcoal, racks for iron, space around the anvil, a quenching container, and a doorway wide enough for wheels, tools, and sometimes an entire horse. The floor should not burn easily. The roof should be high enough to carry smoke away. water, or sand should remain nearby. Not because it improves the atmosphere, but because your workplace is built around the permanent possibility of fire. Then come the tools. The forge heats the metal. The bellows force air into the fire. The anvil provides the working surface. Hammers move and shape the iron. Tongs prevent your hands from becoming part of the product. Chisels cut it, punches make holes, files and stones finish edges. Specialized forms and tools help create nails, rings, wheel fittings, hinges, and other repeated objects. Some tools can eventually be made inside the shop, but you need tools to make those tools. A good anvil is a major asset. A collection of reliable hammers and tongs represents years of accumulated capital. This is why inheriting a forge is so powerful. A son who takes over his father's shop does not merely receive a family occupation. He receives equipment, customers, suppliers, local trust, unfinished orders, and a private map of everyone who pays late. Starting from nothing means purchasing all of that one piece at a time. Now light the fire. A blacksmith shop is not normally the same operation as an iron smelting furnace. The smith usually acquires iron that has already been produced, then reheats and shapes it. The distinction sounds technical until you see the account book. You depend on miners, smelters, merchants, transporters, woodland owners, and charcoal makers before your hammer touches anything. If one part of that chain fails, your village can be full of customers, while your workshop has nothing useful to sell them. Charcoal is the first daily problem. It burns hot and works well with forced air, but producing it requires wood, controlled burning, labor, land, and transport. Your shop may stand beside the market, yet its fire depends on forests miles away. Heavy rain can disrupt production. A lord can restrict cutting. Ironworks can compete for the same fuel. A damaged road can delay delivery. The price can rise during the exact week when customers have already agreed to yesterday's repair price. Shut the forge down too early, and the next job must wait while the fire is rebuilt. Keep it hot without enough work, and your profit escapes through the roof as smoke. The blacksmith is managing temperature, but the owner is managing how much money is burning per hour. Then there is the iron itself. Customers see a finished hinge, nail, sickle, or horseshoe. You see material cost, fuel cost, labor time, failed pieces, and metal lost as scale. Iron is valuable enough that scraps matter. Old shoes, broken tools, damaged fittings, and bent nails can be collected, sorted, reheated, and reused where appropriate. A smith who buys scrap cheaply and understands how to work it can reduce costs. A smith who mistakes cracked or contaminated material for a bargain can spend twice as long producing half the result. New iron costs more but behaves more predictably. Reused iron costs less but transfers uncertainty into the workshop. The cheapest material is not always the material that produces the cheapest object. Now heat a bar, too cold and it resists the hammer. At the correct heat, it moves. Too hot, and the surface burns away or the piece becomes damaged. There is no digital display telling you when to stop. The smith watches color, listens to sound, judges resistance, and acts within a narrow window. A less skilled worker may use more charcoal, more strikes, and more material to make the same object. A skilled smith can finish it faster and lose less iron. That makes craftsmanship an economic advantage, not merely an artistic one. Experience lowers the cost of every unit. Unfortunately, experience also belongs to a human body. Your hands, eyes, shoulders, back, and lungs are part of the production system. A serious burn, crushed finger, damaged eye, or kick from a frightened horse can close the shop faster than any shortage of customers. The anvil can be replaced. The master's trained hands cannot be ordered from a merchant. Eventually, one person is not enough. Somebody must work the bellows, move fuel, clean the shop, hold iron, swing a heavier hammer, manage simple orders, and keep impatient customers from stepping into the sparks. This is where the apprentice enters. At first, he is not producing swords or complicated locks. He carries charcoal, maintains the fire, gathers scrap, sweeps scale from the floor, turns the grinding stone, watches the master, and makes simple objects repeatedly. To the owner, an apprentice appears to be inexpensive labor. But inexpensive is not free. The apprentice needs food, shelter, supervision, tools, and years of instruction. He makes mistakes using your material. He slows the master down before he becomes useful. And once he is skilled enough to earn real money, he may leave and become a competitor. Training an apprentice is an investment whose most valuable asset is eventually capable of walking out the door. If he stays and becomes a reliable journeyman, however, the business changes. The shop can accept more orders than the owner's hands could complete alone. The master begins earning money from work performed by someone else. That is the point where a skilled trade can begin turning into an organized enterprise. In some towns, guilds complicate this process. Their exact power varies by place and period, but they can regulate training, entry into the trade, product standards, fees, workshop ownership, and the number of workers a master employs. Membership can protect you from unqualified competition and give customers confidence in your work. It can also charge you for the privilege, restrict your choices, and make it harder for a newcomer to open a shop. For an established master, the guild can resemble a wall keeping rivals outside. For an apprentice hoping to become a master, it can resemble a locked gate with a payment slot. Now the customers arrive. The first major group is farmers. Plow fittings wear down, sickles break, axe heads become blunt, hoes bend, chains fail, harvest tools are needed most urgently. At the exact moment delay becomes most expensive. That gives the blacksmith strong demand, but not necessarily strong cash flow. Farmers often receive money or saleable grain seasonally. In spring, they need repairs. After a failed harvest, they may be unable to settle the account. Refuse credit, and you lose a long-term customer. Extend too much credit, and the ledger shows a thriving business, while the coin chest remains empty. A medieval forge can be busy all day and still fail because work completed is not the same as money collected. The next customers arrive on hooves and wheels. Depending on local specialization, shoeing horses and repairing related ironwork can provide repeated work. Shoes wear out, nails loosen, hooves change, wagon tires bend, fittings crack, and axles or connecting parts fail on rough roads. A shop beside a major route can receive merchants, messengers, travelers, carts, and animals that cannot continue without repairs. These customers often need the work immediately, which improves your bargaining position. It also means an impatient man is standing beside you, losing money every minute his wagon remains still. One repair may not create a fortune, but the same road damages the same equipment again and again. The road becomes a machine that manufactures repeat customers. The third revenue stream is construction. Houses, barns, workshops, bridges, gates, carts, mills, and fortifications require nails, hinges, straps, hooks, rings, chains, locks, and fittings. A large building project can fill the order book with repeated objects. Repetition is profitable. The fire remains at a similar heat. Pieces use similar amounts of iron. Apprentices can perform simpler stages and production becomes faster. 100 ordinary nails may be less impressive than a decorated sword, but they can be easier to price, easier to train workers to produce, and easier to sell in quantity. Then the building is completed and the demand disappears. Construction work produces attractive bursts of revenue, not permanent security. The fourth source of income is the powerful institutional customer. The manor, castle, monastery, town authority, or military household. A contract may provide regular demand for agricultural equipment, doors, locks, wagon parts, horse equipment, tools, and weapon repairs. It may also provide access to a workshop, land, fuel, food, or raw material. This appears to solve your greatest problem. Instead of waiting for random customers, you have guaranteed work. But guaranteed work comes from a customer strong enough to decide what your guarantee is worth. The Lord's steward can demand priority. Payment can be late, fixed, reduced, or partly delivered in goods. During war, the same agreement may suddenly require far more work without a matching increase in compensation. Stable demand and weak bargaining power often arrive together. War looks like the best possible market for a blacksmith. Spearheads, arrowheads, armor fittings, wagon hardware, horseshoes, tools, chains, and repairs are suddenly needed in quantity. But armies can seize iron and fuel, authorities can impose prices, and soldiers can take products before payment appears. An enemy raid can destroy the workshop, while a friendly army may simply consume its inventory. War can multiply orders while reducing your ability to own the revenue. A full order book is not useful when the customer carries a sword and considers your invoice optional. Put the business into 3 models. The first is the independent village smith working mostly alone. He has low payroll costs and controls quality, but his income is limited by his own strength and time. Injury stops production, illness stops production, sleep stops production. The second is the contracted estate smith. He receives a steadier flow of work and perhaps support with materials or property, but sacrifices freedom over price, schedule, and customer choice. The third is the master who controls a well-positioned workshop, a collection of tools, reliable suppliers, apprentices, journeymen, contracts, and a base of recurring customers. The first man sells his labor, the second sells his availability, the third sells the productive capacity of an entire shop. From the street, all 3 men may be wearing leather aprons beside an anvil. In the account book, they are operating completely different businesses. Now open the books during a good year. Spring brings plows and hoes. Summer brings nails and hinges for construction. Travelers fill the road and pay for horse and wagon repairs. The harvest succeeds, so farmers settle old debts in coin or grain. A manor contract provides a stable floor beneath the income. Iron and charcoal were purchased before prices rose. A capable journeyman completes difficult work while an apprentice produces simple items. The owner handles customers, schedules, purchasing, and the jobs that require his highest skill. Under those conditions, a blacksmith can live better than many ordinary agricultural laborers, improve the shop, acquire property, purchase better equipment, and pass a valuable enterprise to his children. Now open the books during a bad year. Rain reduces charcoal supply. Fuel prices rise. The harvest fails, so farmers cannot pay. Iron becomes more expensive. A horse injures the owner. The journeyman leaves. The bellows tear. Sparks ignite part of the roof. Customers continue bringing work, but the shop lacks fuel, labor, or a healthy master. Prices already promised on credit cannot easily be changed. Orders accumulate while cash disappears. The village still considers the blacksmith essential, but being essential does not mean customers can afford your real costs. People can desperately need your service while negotiating as though your time, fuel, and iron cost nothing. So could you become rich owning a medieval blacksmith shop? Yes. But probably not by spending every waking hour personally swinging the hammer. The strongest position belongs to the person who controls the location, tools, fuel supply, iron supply, skilled labor, contracts, and customer relationships. He can purchase material in favorable conditions, divide work by skill level, earn from repeated repairs, and keep production moving when one worker stops. The weakest position belongs to the isolated smith who buys iron at the worst price extends credit to everyone, accepts obligations from powerful customers, and carries every risk in his own body. Both men may be indispensable. Only one has built something larger than a job. The real product of the medieval forge was not the sword, the nail, the hinge, or the horseshoe. It was restored movement. The farmer was not merely buying a repaired plow fitting. He was buying the ability to return to the field. The merchant was not buying a piece of wagon iron. He was buying the ability to reach the next market. The Lord was not buying a lock. He was buying a gate that continued to function. Every object entered the forge because some larger activity had stopped, and the blacksmith was paid to start it again. The fire attracted attention, but the money came from controlling the place where broken work returned to life. You did not become wealthy by selling glamorous weapons. You became wealthy when the entire village could not continue without passing through your workshop. A medieval blacksmith shop was not simply a room where iron was shaped. It was the town's maintenance network, its emergency repair service, and its industrial infrastructure, all gathered around one charcoal fire.